Mental Health Monday with Mick Coyle.
This is Radio City Talk.
Yeah, Mental Health Monday, back for another week. We're talking openly and honestly when it comes to mental health. Coming up on this week's show, we're going to be talking about bipolar. We're going to be talking about depression. We're going to be talking about the UK Mental Health Football Association. We're going to be talking about Eating Disorders Awareness Week. And we're also going to be talking about the Before I Leave project, which you can hear a special interview as part of the Radio City Talk Mental Health Monday podcast as well. There's a project going on in Wallasey at the moment. We'll hear all about that. On the live show, though, I've got a special guest in the studio who's going to be telling me about his own journey, and his name is Colin Dolan. Colin, thank you for your time, and thank you for joining us on Mental Health Monday.
Pleasure.
You've
nice to be here.
Really interesting story in terms of what you've gone through and how you've gone about tackling some of the issues that you've faced. Bipolar disorder. Now, we've been doing the show since the start of the year, and this is the first guest that we've had on to talk about bipolar in particular. Tell us about when you first thought there might be an issue, or where someone said to you, I think there might be an issue here.
I really go back to my late teens and early 20s. I can't remember any particular one point. I don't think I could put a finger on it when I identified myself as being slightly different, I suppose. But my first period of depression came in my late teens, and I had it very well from everyone. But the serious one came in when I was in my early 20s, and that took me by so much a surprise that I couldn't handle it, couldn't take it, and the depression at that point was beating me, and I went on to attempt to take my own life at that particular time. Luckily, I was saved, obviously.
How did it manifest it on a day-to-day basis?
It hit me pretty quickly. I didn't go through a period of slowly but surely going down and down and down. I just basically woke up one day and didn't want to get out of bed, didn't want to go to work. I was telling lies to people. I was lying about going to work. I would say I was going to work, and I'd leave the house, let my wife at the time leave the house, and then go back in. And I'd spend all day sitting in the house, wouldn't even look at a television, sitting staring at four walls, and a lot of the time just wanted to stay in bed. But then gradually, as it got worse, and it got to the real bad point, I just didn't get out of bed. I don't even recall what I said. I have no idea what I said to my wife at the time, but I did create arguments and fights just to get rid of her, just to get her out of the way. I knew I was hurting her. I knew I was going to be hurting other members of my family as well. Didn't want to communicate with anyone, and I certainly didn't want to start talking about having a mental health problem. I was too macho.
What was the brain, or what was your brain telling you? Was it just saying, no, we're opting out at this point, Colin, we're not interested in what's going on in your day-to-day life, we're not interested in the people who love and care about you and closest to you? Yeah,
I was lost. I'd nowhere to turn. My mind was basically racing thoughts towards dangerous activities. I wanted to drink all the time, even though I wasn't really much of a drinker at the time. And I was quite happy to take extra pills. I'd take pills to get a sort of kick from them and run the risk of what could happen next. My family, the thoughts of my family came to my mind, yeah, but it was never enough to just say, look, you've got a family there, don't do anything silly. And I certainly couldn't turn around and speak to them. My mind was just constantly racing and telling me to stay in bed, telling me not to go to work. And I did become a habitual liar for months. I know I did.
I was going to ask you about the time frame, because, of course, sometimes you could say to people now, could you for a week or so, busk a situation where you wouldn't go into work? At what point did you think this has gone beyond the point of, people would start to ask, serious questions?
Yeah, I got to 4, maybe 5 months. I had a back injury at the time as well, so physically I was in agony constantly, so that wasn't helping me at all. That situation was pretty bad. The time scale from the moment it hit me to the day that I tried to take my own life for the first time was only a space of less than 6 months. But to me, that's quite quick for some depression, because I've obviously encountered people with depression for an awful lot longer than that. But 6 months, and I just couldn't take any more. I gave up.
And there was an intervention that stopped it happening. You're still with us today, and you're able to talk about it.
Yeah.
Your life's gone in a completely different path now. You've been involved in all sorts of different things.
Mm-hmm.
compare and contrast how you are now, because everyone's on a journey when it comes to their own mental health now. So if you can compare and contrast to the situation, the Colin you've just described versus where you are now, do you feel like there's a journey that you're on?
Oh yeah, I turned the corner big time with going back 7 years ago when I admitted to friends and family that I had problems and went and sought medical advice. For the first time, I actually took it on board and was ready to face it head on. I'm now in a position where, thanks to the support mechanisms that I've put in place and the support mechanisms that I get from the likes of Everton In The Community and Merseycare and family and friends, that if it comes again, and I know it will, I know depression will come back again, I'll probably have mania once again as well. When it comes, I'm ready for it, and I know where to reach out and ask for help, and I'm not afraid to say I'm ill. The position I'm in now, I feel very, very fortunate, because Everton, just the intervention of Everton In The Community and Merseycare totally changed my life. I'm a different person today to the person that I was when I was 22, completely different. Nothing similar to that person at all, apart from my love for football.
Has Everton Football Club saved your life?
Without a shadow of a doubt. I've gone on record as saying it a million times. The day that I joined that programme, even when I think about it and talk about it, I still feel emotional because it was such an impact. It changed. It was a quick emotion to just feel good about myself for the first time in a long, long time. Get out of the house was even a bonus back then. But after only a few visits to the Everton programme, I just realised this is something really special. This isn't just, this will make me feel a bit better. I knew that I could go even further and I could do all the things that I've always wanted to do. I've always wanted to work for charities. I've always wanted to say I don't care about money. I've always wanted to help other people, but I never had the guts to go ahead with it.
Now, your accent gives you away as someone from Scotland, so you had leanings towards Celtic Football Club. But if you were asked to pick out who were your favourite English team, who would you say?
It's Liverpool. Yeah, I'm very proud to be a Red, but I'm also just as proud when I put on the Everton T-shirt or the Everton shirt when I'm representing them, whether it's playing at a tournament or like last Friday standing in Central Station rattling a bucket to collect money. I'm as proud as punch to wear that blue shirt. Your
experience has transcended divided loyalties when it comes to red or blue, but a Liverpool fan who says that Everton saved your life means you've gone through something quite incredible with Everton in the community. Tell us about, you said from that first moment, what physically was it? What was it that you thought, this is the change, this is the difference? Because you talked about the macho guy before, but it was more of a macho guy who decided to do something about it.
Well, when I walked into the gym that very first time, walked into the gymnasium down at Greenbank, and a ball was thrown at me, and really wasn't introduced to anyone other than this. I think the first time it was, this is Derek, and I started to hit the ball with him. So I was just concentrating on my football rather than thinking about all the things that had gone through my mind previous. And as soon as we started doing a warm-up and then getting into the five-a-sides, that first time that I went into challenge for a ball, I was like the 14-year-old kid in the playground again. First time I cracked the ball, having a shot at goal, I couldn't believe the buzz and excitement. And I'm not a goal scorer by any stretch of imagination, even though I score some spectacular ones now and again. I scored a goal, and I remember that buzz, and I didn't want that buzz to go away. And it was a bit like a child. There's no doubt about it. The way I saw it as medication and therapy is the fact that buzz that I had made me feel good about myself, that I could do something. I knew it was going to wear off. I didn't know when. But the great thing was, a few days later, I could go back to another session and play football again and just keep topping up. Same way as you take any medication. It wears off, you need to take more medication. And I was the exact same with the football. Did you,
in thinking about that, or the reaction that you had to playing football, did you think, I was missing this in my life? Or maybe you'd let, things slip, whether, you used to play football and then you just, didn't find time for it anymore. I used to spend time in, groups of mates, but didn't really find time for it anymore. Was that something that you sort of could figure out? What specifically was it? Because we all love football, don't we? Scoring a goal from time to time.
It's an amazing feeling. Football's always been a big part of my life. I've played football most of my life for some decent teams as well. And I was playing football over in Madrid when I was living there, playing Sunday League, and I was in my 40s, and I was still getting that same buzz that I got when I was a kid. when the opportunity came along to go and do something about football again, thanks to my partner, Michelle, she really, even though she's a Red as well, she found the Everton programme, spoke to my CPN and pushed me towards that. And yet it was missing in my life. Sitting on the couch watching football on the telly is good fun, but nothing beats being out on the pitch with lads just doing what you love to do. And it doesn't matter about my age or the level of my fitness or my ability. I managed to fit in, and thankfully I'm still there as well when I'm able to play.
You're involved now in the running of the UK Mental Health Football Association. Just tell us about the idea behind this, how big that is as an organisation, and how big you could make it, if you like. Yeah,
well, the idea came about through the Everton programme and asked me to go along and play in tournaments. So we were playing against, if I remember rightly, I think it was through in Barnsley, we were playing against Rotherham and various other teams in that neck of the woods in Yorkshire. I got speaking to the other coaches and other players and asking them about their programmes, and after a few tournaments I just realised how much this was going on around the country. Anyway, I was injured. I was waiting on an operation in my back and I was bedbound, and I really wanted to do something positive, so I launched a Facebook page and started making inquiries. So I launched it as initially Mental Health Football UK. Found out about all the other programmes. I was phoning every club in Britain, every single club, and sending them emails, finding out what they've got and sharing it and using the Facebook as a platform to promote it. It has grown. It's really taken off since then, because we're pulling in sector experts to help new programmes that are coming along board, trying to get involved with the NHS trusts and trying to encourage more clubs, community projects to work with the NHS so that service users can join these football clubs directly. It's now so big, we're off to Parliament next week, which is an amazing feat that we've got well in excess of 100 guests from various football clubs, charities, and plenty from the NHS who we're going to try and convince to part with some money to start investing into the people and investing into these programmes throughout the country. We've got obviously myself, we've got Andy Burnham, Stan Collingwood's going to be there with us. We've got Johnny Garside from Everton in the Community. Merseycare will be represented. Mind, the mental health charity, will be represented. And we've got two service users who have used, one who uses the Chesterfield programme and one who's used the Queen's Park Rangers programme. And at this moment in time, we're about to launch our website, and through that, people will be able to become members. Organisations will be able to become members of the MHFA. I reckon by this time next year, we'll be in excess of 150 members. I think it's 146, 147 programmes running every single week at this moment in time. Wow. Same as Everton. And we're making contacts, new ones every other week, basically.
We've done quite a bit with Everton in the Community and the Liverpool Foundation, FC Foundation over the years. What we tend to find is, and it seems like a strange choice of words, but they almost, this isn't the right word, but trick people like yourself, macho blokes, into doing things they wouldn't normally do. If it's mental health programmes, if it's weight loss programmes, if it's all sorts of different things, what they do is they use the fact that they are a Premier League football club with the badge and the emblem and the stadium and all that, and they go, well, you might not speak to your GP, you might not speak to your mates, you might not speak to your family. Have you thought about speaking to your local football club? And there's something about that sort of awareness that people go, okay, I'll try that. I'll walk through the door and I'll see it. And actually, it's one of the things which we don't really consider when we think about football clubs, that idea that it can open doors to people, and it opened the doors to you. You talked about the macho sense. At what point did you change your attitude around, I'm being macho, I'm looking after myself, to I'm being macho, I'm going to do something about this?
Well, I think it's the inspiration from not just the staff at Everton in the Community, but the lads that I play football with. They were easily talking about their own conditions, their medication, their relationship with Merseycare, their relationship with the CPN, and they were talking about it so openly, and it gave me the courage, I suppose. It's always described as, I don't see it as courage, but it's always described as courage. But it made me realise that I have to speak more open and honestly about it. I started blogging, I started doing all sorts and doing public speaking. And it's the fact that I've been inspired by teammates and inspired by the staff at Everton in the Community. I get what you're saying when people get this feeling of Everton. It's an amazing bug they give you, because I can't do enough for them. I honestly wish there was two of me, so I could do one just doing all the Everton work and helping them, and one doing my own work. It's an incredible organisation, and I know they're changing and saving lives every day. It's amazing. I'd do anything for them, anything.
What would you say to the people who've helped you out on your journey so far?
Oh, dear, there's that many to mention, but one of the biggest influences is my mentor, is Johnny Garside at Everton In The Community. I can't thank him enough. He's always been a source of encouragement. He knows when to put his arm around your shoulder, so to speak, and he knows when to leave you alone. But he's such an inspirational man that he just makes you want to be better, for not just for my own sake, but for everyone else's sake around me. If it wasn't for Johnny, I probably would have gave up the football. But he's encourages me, and he still tells me I've got a place to play in the team, even though I'm 51 years old. So not bad.
You talked about starting out and finding those moments of feeling good. Mm-hmm. As you get involved in it, is it still a case of, on a day-to-day basis, or do you feel that generally that as a result of these sort of the cumulative effects of the football, that you're in a more positive place? Yeah,
they've put me in a place now where my confidence is as high as it's ever been in my life, and it's not the cocky confidence I used to have when I was younger. I worked in sales for most of my life, so I was always a bit cocky, but now I'm just confident, and I can be honest with it as well, whereas I know as a salesman I was telling the odd porky here and there. Now, they've given me such a confidence that I can go and speak at Parliament, I can go and speak at universities, and it is a cumulative thing. I've always said that Everton In The Community made me feel well, but they've also made me feel very welcome, and the way they've treated me is with dignity and nothing else.
In terms of the length of time you've been on this journey, it's something like 30 years, isn't it?
Yeah, I was 23, I think, when I first tried to take my life, So it's a long, long time, but it's only in the last 7 years that I've been able to speak properly to professionals or friends or family. Some of my family didn't even know up until very recently that I was bipolar, or didn't know that I had an episode of severe depression. And only a handful of people that I knew they knew about my experience and when I ended up in a coma. So it was pretty tough to start saying to people online when I knew my own family didn't know about it. But I've nothing to hide, nothing to be ashamed of.
And when you think back to that guy in his 20s who, discharges himself from hospital the day after a suicide attempt, you're kind of smiling thinking about that guy now. Are there wasted years in there? Are there times where you thought, I could have gone on a different journey, I could have found where I'm at now a little bit sooner?
Yeah, there is. I live with regret every day of my life. I regret the fact that I've walked away from children, my own kids. I've left them behind, but I still have got a great relationship with them. I still see them now, but for a long time I couldn't face up to seeing my own children, and it was a lot to do with my mental state. And I didn't want to let them see me when I was ill. And of course, you can't say to your wife or ex-wife, I'm ill, I can't come. It just doesn't work that way. You make excuses not to go. And I live with regret about, should I have done something earlier? Well, yeah, of course I should have, and I wouldn't have had all the inconvenience that I had, but then again, I wouldn't have had all that experience, and I wouldn't have met Michelle, who I've been happily with now for 15, 16 years. So all the things that have happened led me to where I am today. And although I regret not spending as much time with my children, everything else is relative now.
And it seems like now you're packing everything in in terms of cramming it in. You're busy as well. If people want to find out some more about the work that you're doing, Everton In The Community is always a great place to go for 1,001 different things. But if people want to find out more about the Mental Health Football Association, it started on Facebook. Does it remain on there?
We've got a Facebook page, simply Google us. I almost get a bit for Google all the time to tell people, rather than telling us where you'll find me on Twitter, where you'll find us on Facebook, just Google us and you'll see all the news articles. We've had plenty of articles published online. There's information out there where they can reach out, not just locally as well. We're talking nationally, where we get people calling us. I get someone calling me from this morning from Aberdeen looking for a game of football because he's not feeling well. And I've set him up with Grampian strikers in Aberdeenshire. So for the people in Merseyside, reach out to us. We'll help you. We'll support you. Mental Health Football Association. We don't just support the clubs. We support the individuals as well. And very much reach out to Everton in the Community.
Colin, absolute pleasure to get you on and hear your story.
Thank
It's
you.
amazing doing this show. You hear so many different journeys and different paths that people find themselves on, and yours, again, completely different to other paths that people have done. But Everton in the Community doing fantastic work. We'll get the links out there as well on social media to the UK Mental Health Football Association. We really appreciate you coming on with us on the show today. Colin Dolan, thank you for
very
your
much.
time. So it's Radio City Talk and it's Mental Health Monday. We'll continue the conversation next.
Mental Health Monday on Radio City Talk. Tackling the stigma.
All right, hello, Mental Health Monday. My name's Mick Coyle. I've been sent a link to a blog, which I'm just having a read through, and it's about somebody who's been battling with depression. And it's a fascinating insight, and it's a fascinating insight into somebody who realises they find themselves in a situation where they have depression and what they do about it. And it's always fascinating to hear people's stories, as we just heard there with Colin Dolan. It's quite a read. It's quite a read, and I've posted a link on my Twitter feed talking about suicide, talking about depression, talking about anxiety, talking about panic attacks, talking about wanting to die. I can honestly say, says the writer, throughout this period, I did not believe I was suicidal. I do, however, remember being desperate to die. When I went to bed, it would be with great hope that I wouldn't wake up again. My brain was obviously broken. I thought, so maybe I'll just pack up in the night and I won't live to see the next day. What a relief that'd be. Crossing the road had also become an invitation of death. I'd never looked before crossing, would step out with confidence in the assumption that I couldn't get away with it every time. I had a few incidences where I'd get pumped by cars slamming on their brakes and I'd always feel great afterwards. I'd walk off feeling totally exhilarated. I think a part of me thought, if I was plied down in the road, it might smack my brain free of whatever was going on inside, like hitting some kind of reset button and everything would be okay again. It's an incredibly moving blog, that, and it's been written by my brother. And I wasn't expecting to read that about my own brother, but he's put it out there. He's put it out there, and he wants to tell his own story. I knew doing Mental Health Monday that we would tell 1,000, 1,000,000 stories, each of individuals, and we'd be able to share those stories, and that's why we do the podcast. And I never for one moment thought that I would be sharing my own brother's story and my own brother's battle with depression. He's on a much more positive path now, and it's interesting to read the situation he found himself in more than probably 10 years ago now, and you don't always know. You don't always know if it's your husband or your wife or your brother or your mum or your dad or your gran or your uncle or your granddad. There are people out there suffering all the time. The more we talk about it, the more something can be done about it. So thanks, Jim. Big love from me. Right, it's the start today of Mental Health's Awareness Week with a difference, actually. It's something we've not touched on the podcast yet or on the show, and it's Eating Disorders Awareness Week. Eating Disorders Awareness Week, and our reporter Adam Phillips has been catching up on this one with somebody who's got their own take on the situation and just how severe eating disorders can be from a mental health point of view. Adam.
OK, so it's Mental Health Monday on Radio City Talk. We've got Leigh Best in the studio. She's the founder of the social enterprise, which is based in West Derby. It's called Talking Eating Disorders. We're talking to Leigh because it's Eating Disorders Awareness Week, and this all stems around particularly mental health, Leigh, doesn't it? And particularly the mental health of young people and also their families as well.
Yeah, I mean, we've been operating in the region for 17 years now. And, you know, I hate to say this actually, but a lot of the issues are still the same. So people are still on waiting lists. People are discharged when they still have an eating disorder. And a large number of people who access our organisation just have been unable to bring themselves to go to their GP to begin the process of trying to get help. So we're very, very keen to continue to raise awareness of eating disorders. Sadly for us, the need is still there. Parents still need our support. Sufferers still need our support. And, we've now really upped our game in a way. So we're doing a lot of work in local schools in terms of prevention of eating disorders as well.
So tell us about, you've been doing this for 17 years.
I have.
You've obviously seen a lot of people, a lot of families, a lot of young people.
I have.
How has that changed over the years? Is there anything that you've seen that really has caught your eye in terms of the people that you're seeing, the ages in particular, as well, and the reasons why they are developing these kind of conditions, and obviously the battle with their mental illness as well?
What I would say is we have definitely seen an increase in children younger and younger. And although the statistics available are literally just the tip of the iceberg, because we know that many people never access help via the NHS, inpatient care is also becoming younger and younger. So this is something that's really, really important, and something that we need to keep on talking about. The change has been very, very slow, I would say. And actually, we hold a conference. Our next conference is next Friday at St George's Hall, and if you could give the details, anybody who's interested can attend. There have been some positive changes in our NHS services. There is now family support offered in the adult service. We know that a dietitian has recently been appointed in the children's service, but the change has been slow, I have to say that. And, you know, sadly for me, in terms of the stories I'm hearing, they're the same 17 years later. That's why I can't stop, because to me, until we can change the current system, then I have to keep on going. For people who are interested, actually, there was a really interesting article by Mark Austin recently, and you can get that online and have a look at it. And he really accurately describes the sheer desperation of people who are families affected by this condition, who are left languishing still. So
tell us about those kind of issues that you hear day in, day out, particularly from those young people who are going through this horrendous battle day in, day out as well.
What I would say, I do want to point out that you can't actually tell if someone has got an eating disorder by looking at them. There's a lot of myths around eating disorders. So we support anybody affected by anorexia, bulimia, binge eating disorder, and everything in the middle, because a lot of the issues are a crossover. So I want to stress really that the misery is the same regardless of the disorder for the sufferer. They really do suffer. I do want to point out though that with anorexia, I would say the majority of people who access our service are suffering from anorexia. The majority are mums who are absolutely desperate. So I want you to try and imagine you have a much loved child, the most precious thing in your life, who is refusing to eat and continuing to refuse to eat. A whole team of health professionals can't make this child eat, and you are at home with this child. You might have to give up your job, your marriage might break down or your relationship because of the stress. You know, these conditions go on for years, not months. So I think in my heart, I feel with anorexia especially, we really need to be intervening quicker. We need not to be waiting until people are seriously, life-threateningly underweight. We need to try and keep people out of hospital, and we need to try and give them the intense care they need at that time. And we need to be giving families the help that they need at the time that they need it.
You mentioned that you're seeing children and young people younger and younger now with these kind of conditions. What is the youngest age that you've actually seen somebody who is starting to develop these kind of issues or having these kind of thoughts as well?
Yeah, to be honest with you, in my work, if I ask anybody whether they're an adult sufferer or a child sufferer, most people have the beginnings of the thoughts, if you like, from a very, very young age, and that's why we're targeting schools now. So in terms of people I've worked with, I'd say age 5. But it's very, very common for me to hear, I started feeling like this when I was 6, when I was 7. So early intervention is the key. And while it's certainly not, the parents' fault that an eating disorder develops, it's a mental illness. We just simply haven't got that power. And a lot of the work we do is about empowering parents to support their child. But certainly early messages you give out about self, about body image, about just health and food in general, these early messages are really important. Encouraging your child to be who they are and focus on what they're great at rather than what they look like, if that makes sense.
It must be absolutely heartbreaking. It is heartbreaking to hear that children you've seen as young as 5 who have those kind of thoughts, not happy with themselves or the way they look. That must be heartbreaking for them, heartbreaking for the parents who just want them to enjoy being children, enjoy life as well.
Yeah, no, it is. And, those sorts of, and it is usually mum. I mean, I have to sort of stress that we do get some dads and some partners coming to the group, but in the main it tends to be mums, either with an adult sufferer or a child sufferer. And, these families are desperate. They are really, really desperate. And we do everything we can to try and support them through this difficult journey. And there's a lot of relapses with eating disorders. So, people can sort of be doing okay and then they can relapse, and then we'll help and support then. Our message really is that, recovery is real. Even in the most hopeless of situation, there is always hope. Recovery is possible. Our message really is, with the right help at the right time, people really can overcome these illnesses. And for the most severe, even if they can never let go of it and it becomes part of their story, they can live well. They can still do great things with their lives. So we have to keep on campaigning for change, and we will continue to keep on campaigning for the families that affect our services. And, we have people coming from all over the UK. Actually, we've had people come from Birmingham, from Manchester, from Southport, from Preston, because there's just simply not the support out there, even now, for these desperate families who need it.
How much does the surroundings have to do with it? I say that in the sense of social media, the magazines, what we see on TV. I mean, we are introduced to that ever so much. We often hear that we're introduced to that more and more at an earlier age as well. Do you think that's having an impact in terms of the ages that you're seeing, particularly the fact that, like you said, that the people that you're helping are now becoming younger as well?
Well, what I would say, just sort of the media in general is one influence in terms of developing self. But there are many other factors. We need to remember this is a mental illness. So I have some sufferers saying, hey, it's absolutely nothing to do with the media. It's this or it's that. However, having said that, in this day and age, we have to look at the messages our young people get, and Facebook and Instagram and Snapchat and these sorts of images of perfection, and the fact that plastic surgery as well has become normalised as it is. That is something I've definitely seen a shift in. So it's for us, what we're trying to do is get young people to accept their body type, because they are all different, and accept who they are and make friends with who they are. As parents and educators, we can really challenge some of the stereotypes, shall we say, of what people think beauty is, and also the images. And we can do a lot, I think, just at home, just by talking about music videos. And one of the things I like to do is to say to young people, who is your role model? And I've been stunned. I've been telling everybody this, so particularly with females, because females are 9 times more likely to develop an eating disorder. So we have to ask ourselves the question, why? What is that about? And people will have their own ideas around that. But when I've been asking young people in schools, who is your female role model? The vast majority is stumped. And I've been really shocked. So we've been talking about, well, hang on, get one then. Find one. And what do they look like? And what are they doing in the world? And what are they doing with their life? But I think underpinning everything is acknowledging this is a mental illness and it's complex. So there are many, many different factors that feed into why somebody would develop an eating disorder. And although there are definitely traits, things like perfectionism and low self-esteem, high achievers, in the end, everybody's story is different and everybody needs individual support to help them overcome this complex illness.
And I know as part of the awareness this week, I know for the work that you do as well, like you said, it's you're staging a conference in the city as well on Friday. You mentioned it just before. Do you want to tell us about it? What kind of people are going to come in to speak in it? What it's all about as well?
We've got a range of fantastic speakers and experts in their own right. We have Luciana Berger is launching the event for us, which we're really pleased about. And we've got Dr. Ranout from Five Boroughs Partnership, who's been a real ally in our work and really supported the work we've done in our community. We've got Anne Hilda from the Rathbone Clinic, and we are very fortunate in our area that we have adult and children's services, because believe it or not, many boroughs across the country don't even have that. And then we have a lovely lady coming from Action from Happiness. She's doing a workshop in the afternoon for us. And we've got a professor from Edgehill University who's going to be looking at health and nutrition. And I'm really worried now in case I forget anybody on the bill. So, we've got a fantastic lady, Janny Langley. I need to mention that actually, because obviously boys get eating disorders too, and she's looking at that and looking at what she's done in her community in Kent to help male sufferers. So we really have got a great day. So for anybody affected, any family or sufferer or any health professional who wants to learn more about eating disorders, we've also got a personal story from one of our amazing TED's mums, Lynn Johnston, and she'll be sharing her personal experience on the day as well. And
you mentioned there that I suppose that change needs to happen to help these people. Is this conference trying to a big part of this conference about this, trying to get that message out there that actually all these things are happening, all these people have looked into it, they know the kind of issues that are out there, and this what needs to be done to help it as well?
Yeah, I mean, I've really tried hard to work in a collaborative way with the existing services to try and improve things, but I would say we still have a way to go, and we know that a lot of people are talking, including Theresa May, talking about mental health and talking about the disparity of care between physical health and mental health. But, for me, it simply is too slow. The change is too slow. And it's not melodramatic to say people are dying while we're talking. And I don't believe it would cost... if you look at the cost of inpatient care, for example, a lot of that money would be saved by increasing community care and day centres, and that's something that Mark Austin is campaigning for. So we're hoping to be trying to work with him. I've yet to contact him to see if we can affect change. We just have to keep on going because the need is there.
And Leigh, it's been an absolute pleasure to speak to you today. For anybody who's interested in the conference who want to get involved with what you're trying to do, where can they find it? How can they take part as well?
Probably the easiest way is to look at our website, tedsuk.com. You'll find all our information there. You can contact me via the website, and you'll also find details of the conference as well.
Leigh Best from Talking Eating Disorders. Thanks very much for joining us on Radio City Talk today.
Thank you.
Leigh Best there, speaking to our reporter Adam Phillips. So it's Eating Disorder Awareness Week. A Liverpool charity telling us they're helping children as young as 5 now showing signs of developing eating disorders. Today, the Monday, starts Eating Disorder Awareness Week. Leigh is from an organisation called Talking Eating Disorders. It's Mental Health Monday on Radio City Talk. We're back next week as a Mental Health Monday show, but also a podcast as well, which you can download via iTunes and the social media. If you are listening to the podcast right now, stay tuned. We've got a little bit more on the way.
Radio City Talk. Tackling the stigma.
All right, so you're with Radio City Talk. It's Mental Health Monday. We're talking now about, how the arts can help out when it comes to mental health. And an idea which has been originally used in New Orleans in the United States of America. But for now, you can actually witness something very similar to it over in Wallasey. And it's at the Open Door Centre, which I'm very pleased that we're able to talk about now. And joining us from the LPD Art Group is, we've got Liam Duffy in the studio, the founder of LPD Art. Just explain what LPD Art is.
So LPD Art is a mental health corporation that wants to get people talking more about mental health through the medium of art.
Excellent stuff. There is a board at this particular centre, the Open Door Centre in Wallasey, and it's based on this idea from New Orleans, which was around the time of Hurricane Katrina, and people could make pledges, almost like bucket list stuff about how they might improve their lives or how they may improve their lot in life, if you like. And it's going to be Before I Leave board, where people can go and write things on. What sort of things are we talking about here, Liam?
So we wanted to change it from Before I Die to Before I Leave, so people can interpret the word leave in whichever way they want to, whether that is actual death or before they leave university, before they leave the country, etc. So we've had people write, I want to become a doctor before I leave, or I want to leave a legacy before I leave, or I want a job that I love before I leave. It's just how people interpret it and give themselves a goal for what they want to do in life.
And when you read them, double meanings, any of the things? Is it quite open? Are people honest about what they want to do? Do people feel that they need to just, put it all out there at a relatively public forum?
Yeah, the majority of what we have on the wall at the minute is completely honest. No one really goes into too much detail. It's a sentence at most. But like I say, it's just, I want to do this, or I want to become this.
It's an eye-opener, just some of the suggestions that have come on early doors. I want to make a difference. And actually, as an ambition, it's quite a simple thing, isn't it? But sometimes it takes a bit of time to make a difference. I want to be happy. I want to leave my job. I mean, you could just go in, couldn't you, tomorrow? But the pressures of life are such that it's not always possible.
Yeah, of course.
I want to be the best I can be. That's another good one as well. But I'll tell you what, Liam, tell us a little bit about yourself then and about the LPD Art Group. When was it set up and what inspired you to set it up?
So it was set up around September last year, so September 2016. I myself am a psychology undergraduate student at Liverpool John Moores. And around September 2015... my father suffered a debilitating stroke, and that sent my family into quite a tailspin because it came out of literally nowhere. So I've been affected with mental health since I was a young teenager with anger issues and depression, and that kind of resurfaced some of that. And I'm a great listener of podcasts. I listen to every single podcast I can. And there was a podcast called the TED Radio Hour, which I'd recommend to anyone. And the artist Candy Chang was on there. As we mentioned, the project is derived from her Before I Die wall in New Orleans. And when she spoke about the project that she did, it was so passionate and it really spoke to me. And it was one of the instances where you think, okay, I need to do this. I don't want to do this. I need to do it.
Before you leave.
Before I leave. So this is me making the difference.
Just tell us about those issues that you had when you were a teenager. That you say they resurfaced. Was it more difficult to deal with them because of the fact that you were dealing with the situations you had when you were younger, but also it was marred by the fact that your dad had found himself in a difficult situation?
I'd say it was a lot more difficult because around the time of my early teenage years, it was very hard to talk to people about. But through the university, as it happened at the time, they've helped me with counselling and everything. And it's been a little bit more difficult because it's a completely different scenario. It's a different setting. But I found just through making this piece of art, it gives you a whole different look on so many different things that you can work through them.
How does it help you when you see other people partaking in an art project like this?
It helps me because, as I'm sure you probably know, people find it very hard to talk about mental health. So if we can give anyone who's anyone an opportunity to just say what they want to say on the matter or say what they want to do on the matter, it just gives me pride because I'm making a difference so people can talk about this thing openly. I don't want to gain anything personally. I just want people to be able to talk about it, because I know it would have helped me in my younger years if I just talked about it.
Yeah, I mean, and I think there's mutual gains, and I don't think anyone would, would begrudge you, taking some pride in what you're doing here, because this is, your project, and people are taking part in it, and people are signing the board, and people are writing, and people are being open and honest there in an environment which essentially you've created. In the same way, we've got a radio show here or podcasts that talk about it as well. You've created a chalkboard in a public space that people are able to fill in as well. You talked about sort of the issues that you face within your family, and obviously that bringing back some issues for you. That's still relatively recently, isn't it?
Relatively,
that's not something which has gone away. But how do you feel like you're at now in terms of your recovery and how you cope with your own mental health issues?
Personally, I feel a lot more stable. For me, as long as I have something to do, something to work towards, I'm always going to be on track and fine. So especially with this art project, with making the wall itself, the building a website, the social media, it really just keeps me going.
And in terms of your projects and plans for the future, how else do you make those links? Do you create those environments? You could take this essentially on the road. You could put up a board anywhere. Is that something you plan to do? Have you got other ideas about how you might use the arts to talk about mental health?
It's definitely in the works. We would like to take it to certain places if people want it, hopefully. But yeah, so far it's been very well received. So maybe in the future we can take it to better places.
And I mean, in terms of the board itself, it's just a chalkboard on a wall with the words "Before I Leave" written on there as well. So it's not necessarily like it's the Mona Lisa or anything like that.
God, no.
You could have people who maybe listen to this now who would sign up and say, "Hey, we've got a spare chalkboard. Do you want to do something here?" And actually, that's something that you could do in any cafe, in any shop, in any public space that exists around the country.
Yeah, I mean, I'm no artist, believe me. I'm simply a psychology student that is aware of the mental health game. So I saw a fairly simple art piece that another artist had done to great effect. I thought that's something that I could scale down, somehow make my own, and here we are.
The one that people can see at the moment is at the Open Door Centre in Wallasey, although I get a sense from Liam and the work that he's doing that there might be a few more of these that sort of emerge. And it's maybe worth just thinking about, what would you put before I leave? What would you put on yours? Maybe you could tweet them in to the show or drop me an email, mick@radiocity.co.uk. Liam, thank you for your time. Thank you for telling us about the project. We wish you all the best with it as well. And hopefully your ideas continue to grow. We'll keep up to date with LPD Art and the work that you're doing there. And any other great ideas, let us know. We'll talk about them on Mental Health Monday.
I sure will. Thank you very much.
Radio City Talks Mental Health Monday with Mick Coyle.